23rd. Cause something loud in the blunt, yeah. I do and say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
G'day everyone and welcome to a Tuesday, the 7th of January in Australia, clocking over from the night of the 6th of January, the start of week 12 of fantasy basketball action. I am one of two hosts. I am Matty G from Inside Fantasy Sports and the Inside NBA Show, and this is Adam King. Third show in one day, Kingy. Man, don't stop.
Yes, it is. It is the third show, indeed. I think I'm pretty used to doing two now. It's so three is not that much of a difference. And look, even B-Dub is watching along, so there you go.
Oh, g'day, B-Dub. He's straight in there. So he's got it. Oh, look, and the first go, good to hear from you, B-Dub. Am I up against, I actually think B-Dub is my opponent in industry pickup this week. And he
I'm not with you guys in that.
No, we're in the snake one. We're in the snake draft competition, and I'm pretty sure my opponent's B-Dub, who has a stupid lineup because he's like you. He just punts one category or two categories explicitly and just see where the rest of the chips lie. I need a win. Yeah, don't we all, B-Dub? Doesn't everybody need a win this fantasy season? I guess that's what we're picking up, man. How's fantasy life going for you, Kingy?
It's not too bad. It's you have enough teams, you're going to have some good and you're going to have some bad. But I guess I'm not going to say the leagues I care about the most because I care about all my leagues. But
you care about all the leagues.
I do. But in industry pickup, I'm first. In my home league, I'm second.
Yep.
There's in the whatever we're calling it, that the World Cup, not the World Cup, the War Games.
War Games,
that we're in. Yeah, I suck in that. Not much I can do either. Injuries. I mean, like I said.
And you've been hitting that waiver wire really hard, by the way.
I know.
Like you've been working
no one
that wire.
Available. The waivers, and actually one of the settings I don't like it, and I will report this back to Puppy.
Dan Titus? What's a Puppy? Oh, here we go. Yep.
To Puppy is no. So it's not a Yahoo setting. It's a setting. Well, I don't think it's a Yahoo setting. It's
what is it? What's the setting?
The fact that players are dropped when players are dropped to waivers, they sit on there forever. There must be like a 2-day waiver wire or something.
That's a Yahoo. No, that's Yahoo. That's Yahoo. It's 48 hours. That's a 48-hour cooling off period. Yeah, it's definitely a Yahoo. I think managers can. I can tinker. I can go on the back end of a Yahoo now and find out. I don't want to do it because everyone's like, what's the commissioner doing? But I'm pretty sure if I set it up, that's the way that it goes down. B-Dub is, I'm 5-4 against him. He's 5-4 against me, I should say, this week. I'm very disappointed that Emmanuel Quickly only got 3 assists today. Is it because the Raptors suck and it's hard for anyone to make shots off that? But, you started with 10 blocks today, B-Dub. Who the hell did that for you? I haven't looked at your team yet. Chris Dunn, you stupid bastard. All right. I can live with that. What's the big thing? Question every day and the post show every day. What's been the biggest nuances that you've been and trends you've been noticing in basketball and fantasy basketball so far this season? King?
Biggest trends, hip injuries, lot of hip injuries this year, mismanagement of injuries. So this isn't really fantasy related. It's just NBA related.
But it impacts. But it's NBA stuff that impacts on fantasy. Correct.
It does. Yes. Teams mismanaging injuries and whether that's players wanting to get back too soon and I've talked about this ad nauseum on my show about the fact that I think they don't know how to manage soft tissue injuries, or they think they do, and it's wrong. I don't know. So probably that one seems to have been a little bit more frustrating this year. I don't know. To me, it feels like waivers aren't as exciting this year. So I don't know whether that is there's not as much talent, not as much depth in fantasy, maybe. And maybe that's to do with a few teams not running. Well, the Knicks are a good example, but a few teams
Knicks are a great example.
Don't run a deep rotation. So there's no fantasy value outside of the players that we roster. That could be that I'm just in a few more deeper leagues this year, but even in my standard leagues, the waivers just don't seem quite as exciting.
I think it's a matter of that they're not also panning out like that. I mean, do you remember the glory days of guys like Hassan Whiteside? And I also say that I don't say that with a big smile on my face, like, oh yeah, the good old Hassan Whiteside days. But do you remember when you would watch in these games and a guy would break out and get a starting role for a team like it, put up 15 or 20 points and 20 rebounds, and then they'd make your team and be then set there for the rest of it?
Yeah.
For me, that just seems to be a bit of a trend that guys are getting a shorter amount of. It's like I'm here to burn for a quick time, but not a long time in fantasy. Case in point, Noah Clowney. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that this was the guy that we wanted to see add. He had a couple of stellar games.
Yeah.
DFS was out. We're like, we just need DFS to move. Guess what? He does. And then he's back to the bench really quickly.
Yeah.
Alex, this is true. I wonder if that's g'day, Alex. If that's the Alex that I know. Hello. Bro, he had that exactly right, Shiny Knight. I don't know why I'm waiting. Where the hell are you, Shiny Knight? Wait, he's got to be in Europe. This has got to be a Europe guy. G'day, Shiny Knight. How are you? Alex, how are you? These are the days. Who's been your most exciting waiver pickup so far this year?
Oh man, I'd have to go through my teams. Exciting waiver wire pickup.
Not exciting, best waiver pickup. Your waiver, if you've got one in chat, 90 or Alex speed up, who's been your waiver pickup? Like for me, it's been guys like John Collins, Christian Brown at the beginning of the season. Those two guys, they've been good.
Who have I added this year? I managed to get Derek Lively in a couple of leagues early in the season off waivers.
Nice.
I think people were a little bit underwhelmed by what he was doing.
Kingy, look at the screen. Look who's shining. I picked up.
Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of people would have picked up Dyson. I mean, if you're in a league where people smartly or stupidly don't listen to me. Obviously, no one in my leagues was able to pick up Dyson Daniels. So yeah, like maybe him. If I'm just thinking sort of last week,
recency bias.
Keon Ellis has been a really nice pickup. And I don't know how long it's going to last. Thompson. If he was picked up in, I drafted him in a lot of spots and didn't drop him, so I can't really count him. I don't know. That's probably who I'd say. I'm sure there are others, but I'd have to go through all my teams and have a look. I don't know. What about you? This is yours.
Look, those are a couple of them. I've got a couple more that obviously I'm flirting with. But this is a good question from Jazz Hoffman. Hoffman, I should say, not Hoffman, Hoffman. If Paolo and Suggs come back this week, what are you guys looking at for Goga's value in 12-team NICAT? Look, this is an interesting question because we saw this similar shenanigans last year in Orlando where Goga was in the starting lineup and then Wendell Carter was just magically reinserted one day and it tanked Goga's value. I'm just yet to see how it plays out. So whatever we do, we obviously, Jazz, we hold Goga. We see where it goes. Wendell Carter's been really good off the bench for these guys, especially without Mo Wagner. And it's not really a triple timeshare for me anymore in Orlando. It's just pretty much Goga and Wendell doing that. I think it hurts Goga more just because Paolo's not the shooter that Wendell Carter is a better stretch, and I use that term loosely, than Goga. So I think that may be where it comes into play to clear up the lane a little bit more for Paolo to work low. That's just my thoughts. But yeah, we hold it there.
Yeah, I'm probably a little higher on Goga. I actually think it'll be Wendell that might take the hit here. And I'm only basing that purely on the fact that Goga has been able to hold on to that starting spot, and it's Wendell that's moved to the bench or started at the 4. Today was a little bit confusing. I had questions on my show because it was more of a minute split today, but I do think that was an anomaly as opposed to what we're going to see moving forward. Obviously, it will impact Goga. It's going to impact everyone. But I still think Goga is going to be a pretty safe 12-team rosterable player for the rest of the season.
Oh, 100%. There's no way that we've got him, that we're just rushing to drop him thinking that he's going to crater off the edge of the earth, especially with the Mo Wagner injury. I think he retains value. So, Jazz, he's there. This one here, Zubac and Mark Williams for me. I heart the day he was reported questionable, first year of fantasy too. The league is not happy. Fair enough. But yeah, Mark Williams is probably actually my big waiver guy that I picked up. Unfortunately, I've got him in 2 leagues. One, I stashed him in IR off. I'm in a 20-man I league ball page comp. And I have just been. Do you want to hear the carnage, Kingy? Do you just want to smile and just hear? Do you want to hear a sad story of fantasy basketball for the year?
Sad stories. Yeah,
I know you do. My team. Here we go. So Trey Murphy is now out for Tuesday's game against the Timberwolves with that ankle. I started the season with him, by the way, and just knew I'd have to probably miss the first couple of weeks, so I had him to start with. Bradley Beal is on this team. Kyrie Irving, day-to-day Lowry Markkinen, and Emmanuel Quickly, and DeAndre Ayton. I have not had a consistent roster the whole year in this league. It has been my most injury ravaged. It's sucked. It's really, really sucked. But I got Mark Williams like a week and a half out. I'm like, you know what? I'm already sucking in this league. I'm just not going to let that guy be the guy that anyone else gets their hand on if they're a top contender. So I just wanted to take him off the board to basically say F you to the rest of the league. To be 100% honest, I was like, there is no way that if a guy like that hits the league, people get, I'm not winning. No, you just play through it. You just get engaged and you play through. Yeah. I grabbed Mark Williams and Jesus, we'll talk about him later, but he's been playing incredibly well.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I drafted him in a few spots as well, and then he was he got injured again, and I was pretty high on him. I had him in that top 50 range very early on before the injury, and then I sort of almost had to back myself and just stash him and hope for the best. And to this point, it's worked out. We don't know what it'll look like in a month or 2 months, but at the moment, he is doing what I thought he could do.
Yeah, as advertised. Mark Williams, as advertised, and obviously we're healthy. Here's one from Knight. Would you all drop Suggs for Hunter? Ooh, we don't know the extent of his injury. Do you not? How many IR spots do you have, Knight? Like, I mean, I know the league's been pretty banged up this year, but I would probably just be. I'd be stashing Suggs in my IR spot. You'd have to be doing that first and foremost, wouldn't you, Kingy?
Yeah, I think so. I think Suggs is still going to be top 60, top 70. Hunter, I know Hunter has been good this year, but he really is just points, and that's it. So
and incredible percentages. If that goes out the window, like if that just I don't know what world we think that DeAndre Hunter is a 50%. It's also not like Bizarro world that he is a 50% shooter from 3. It doesn't feel like it's real.
No. Suggs definitely has a safer floor, much safer, because he gets steals, he'll get some assists, he'll score a little bit, but if DeAndre Hunter has a week where he shoots 30% from the field and scores 8 points a game, he'll just be a drop. In a lot of leagues, whereas Suggs might do that, but he might also get you 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 5 assists. So, I think I'd still be holding Suggs.
Yeah, Suggs is the guy I want to hold on to. Or I'm definitely putting them both in a package for someone and trying to upgrade my roster spot. If you've got 2 roster spots and you can't use that, go out there and hunt in your league for a 2-for-1 and try and move on to a bigger piece and a better piece, because I do think that the upside for Suggs is. And we did see it earlier this year. We did see that Suggs upside when Paolo was playing well and when Wagner was back in the team and playing well. And I think all of those 3 guys in Orlando are going to be better fantasy value when they're all together, because I think where Suggs' field goal percentage is tanking now, because this guy has to carry basically the hopes of Disneyland on his back. So I think this is where we're seeing him get hit a little bit.
I think so. The Magic, I mean, if we're looking at, I mean, I know there's favorite fantasy storylines in terms of players returning, and Lonzo Ball is a very good storyline, and Dyson Daniels, that sort of thing. I think if we're looking at teams, it has to be Orlando. Somehow they just keep winning, and they have no one on their roster. It's going to be curious to see how they go once they get Franz and Paolo and Suggs all on the floor together.
they are still 2.5 games. I know it says this. Their games behind is 10.5 at the first place, Cleveland Cavaliers. And the 5th place team is the Milwaukee Bucks, 12.5. But they're currently sitting at 22-16. And that is an incredible effort for the Orlando Magic with the amount of injuries that they've had. They are going to be such a frisky team in the playoffs that it's going to be fun. Like, these guys are not going to be in the play-in. They're going to be, because the only teams that are going to catch them, Detroit, I don't think so. At 8, like, long term, I think Detroit's a great storyline, by the way. I think seeing them play really well with adults in the room away from Monty is absolutely huge. But yeah, I think Orlando has been. What team has surprised you the most this season in the NBA?
Let's have a look.
Also, this is one of my waiver wire. While you look through those guys, Cogger 1, 2, 3, 3 years shade in the silly season. He was another one of my Cogger. He was another one of my waiver pickups that I made earlier this year in a comp. I traded him and Desmond Bain for Darius Garland, and it's only because 3-point percentage and turnovers and fouls are like categories in there that he was clocking up on. The field goal percentage was down, and I wanted that. But yeah, I don't know if I'd redo or not. People were skeptical because Shaden Sharp, but yeah, he's really breaking out. So that's really, really to see it. Yeah, Detroit to 500. That's a great storyline for them.
Yeah, I think I talked about Detroit quite a lot in the preseason. Just the fact that for the first year in forever, they'd actually made some smart decisions. They brought in Tobias Harris. Cade was hopefully going to be healthy, but they added Malik Beasley. So they added floor spacing, which is what they needed. Duran would be a year older. He hasn't been that good, but yeah, I expected Detroit to be better and probably not this good, but probably in the play-in discussion. Having a look at, I just looked at the standings very quickly, teams that have surprised me. I mean, Cleveland, obviously, I don't think anyone expected them to be this good. I thought they'd be top 4. And then probably... Well,
there was one person that expected them to be this good, and that name is Jake Skidmore for the Inside Podcast Network. He's very... He would have convinced me right now that they could be 33-1, and it's just a hiccup because everybody's sat a game on a back-to-back.
Yep. No, he is quite a passionate Cleveland fan. He is. I thought Charlotte would be a little bit better. I know they've had some injuries, but I thought this might be the year where they'd at least be competitive, and that hasn't happened. And then in the West, probably the Rockets. I thought they'd be good, but not this good. And I would say Memphis to a degree, but maybe the Lakers. The Lakers are just sneaky. They're 5th in the West at the moment. And I don't know. I like what the Lakers have done. It'll be interesting to see what they do leading up to the trade deadline, whether they try to add another 1 or 2 pieces there. But a lot of it, obviously, it hinges on LeBron and AD.
Well, a lot of that did come. There was that leak out today from Bleacher Report that LA is still unhappy. Not unhappy, but they're still not set on their current roster how it's constructed. And in my mind, and I know it always sounds like I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a realist. I don't hate any team in the NBA. I just didn't like the Celtics for years because it was an ex-girlfriend issue. Let's just call it that. But and that's allowed. Like, that's not hating on the Celtics. It is
allowed. Yeah,
it's allowed. It's not like, I hate the Celtics. It's more like I don't like someone who followed you. Period. But I think the Lakers for me are a good. I think they're a good team, and I like the getting off the D-Lo thing that takes that out of the narrative that was hanging around there. And I legitimately think that they should have beat Houston the other day. I think that grappling foul with LeBron down the stretch was it was a little bit easy. It was a little bit getting milked, to be fair. But their first quarter they sucked, and then they just puffed it up. AD was not good to start the game, and then they just got it going. And it was and also Jalen Green was stupid. Like, he was just lights out. So that was great for him. And his girlfriend has a son who's the same age as him, who sat courtside. So I thought that was the funniest thing out of that storyline there. Here we go. Also, Alex in this one. Also, what does Paolo returning do for Suggs? He's been asked to do so much. I think it goes up. I think he goes back to early season value, realistically there.
Paolo will impact Suggs, obviously, but Suggs was good right out of the gate. when they had. And, I mean, you have to think Paolo is coming back, but Franz is still out for another 3 weeks, 4
3 weeks.
So,
yeah. I'm just checking that now.
Yeah. So Suggs was very good when Franz was there and Paolo was out. So we're just switching them two. So we get Suggs and Paolo for another 3 weeks. Then it's going to be sort of close to the All-Star break and fantasy playoffs start. So I still think Suggs will be pretty good even with Paolo back.
This is true. Exciting to see Reddick to get players that fit his coaching style and see what he can cook up. In my opinion, Lakers meant to the Western Conference Finals despite Ham's coaching those years ago. Look, and again, I think it's a great sliding doors. It's almost like Alex Caruso was the Gwyneth Paltrow standing at the door. You know what I mean? Like, what could have been had they kept those guys around altogether? Seeing him locked up in OKC, I always had my heart together to see Caruso and LeBron play together again. But I just don't think that's a realistic thing at this point, unless like LeBron goes ring chasing after his contract finishes and he just goes to OKC because everyone's young and he can just hang out and win a couple of championships in a row. That would be hysterical. I don't think we ever see it in the reality of the situation because I don't see him moving to Oklahoma City unless he only plays away games.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, look, I'm excited for the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan by any stretch of the imagination. And like you, I mean, I don't really have a team. I'm fairly neutral across the board. I have players that I maybe prefer over other players. But that's all right.
This is fine.
But I actually think like there's talk. Cam Johnson is obviously a pretty hot potential trade target. Lakers are mentioned, but Indiana. There was footage today of Halliburton. Not that, I mean, it's rumors, it's whatever, but Halliburton and Cam Johnson were sort of broing up after the game. But if the Lakers can add someone like a Cam Johnson and upgrade that Rui Hachimura spot, I think that's the hole that they've got at the moment in the starting five.
Oh, 100%.
And I think the All-Star break, I know LeBron and Anthony Davis will probably be in the All-Star game, but
this is true.
If we're being honest, they might only play 10 minutes. And I think the All-Star break for the Lakers is going to be very good because I think Anthony Davis is battling plantar fasciitis. LeBron is battling age and a sore foot and that sort of thing. So the 8 days off there, I think is really going to help them reset. And if they can stay afloat and sort of stay in this fifth, sixth range until the All-Star break, they might power home and push inside the top four in the West.
I'm a firm believer that last championship they got us in that COVID year was fully because of the amount of rest they had leading up to that. Like they came back in, AD was healthy, LeBron was healthy, well rested, and they just got in there. It was ridiculous. We're going to touch on this. We're going to get to one of our first topics in a second because this is a great question by Shining Knight. First year playing head to head. Oh, welcome to the team, Shining Knight. March 24 to April 13 is the firmly in silly season. I reckon a lot of folks may be resting players by then. Any teams or players you recommend on targeting? Yes, anyone who goes belly up tanking wise. And what do I need for trades? There's no look again. Let's go through the standings, 90. We've got teams like the Washington Wizards straight away, but we've already been capped on those guys like Bilal Coulibaly, who would have been a silly season hero, has been playing well, so he's not going to be available. You know what I mean? Like Alex Saab, we were talking about young guns very, very soon in the show. He's one of the guys that you could be attacking, and these teams are down the bottom. In the Pelicans, I think the Pelicans might be ripe for it. But again, Misi's well off. Guys like Brandon Boston Jr., I think, are going to be up there. Utah, 100%. Senzabar season. And we're already experiencing that when he dips his toe in the water. Portland, look, maybe Klingon gets some more run there. Charlotte, Saloon. Toronto, I don't think they do anything. But the thing is, Toronto's already so bad. Kingy, my big question mark is on Toronto. They're not even going to make the play-in tournament. They've been injured for most of the season. Do they rest guys like Quickly and Barrett and that again down the stretch this year? Because I think that becomes an interesting team then.
Yeah, they're a tough one. It's not really in their DNA to tank and just to rest players. It doesn't feel like a Toronto thing.
No.
And I think I mean, and this is me sitting in my computer room in Queanbeyan, but I think that they shouldn't, because they've got. I think their core looks pretty good. I think Quickly, Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick as well. I'd have him in there. He's looked pretty good.
Hurdle's looked great this year.
Hurdle has looked good, but he doesn't really fit their timeline. But no. I still think that they've got this young core, but they haven't played together. So for me, if their view is that next year is a year when we can actually take a step and move back into the playoff discussion, we need to get these guys court time this year. So I think it would make sense just to play them, because they've been injured and sick and all sorts of things so much that, I think that's what I'd be doing. If I was looking at teams in general to target, as you said, there is Washington, Portland, Utah, these teams that are tanking, and so you're going to get value from other players. But if you want to look at sort of on the flip side, I suppose, of that discussion and look at teams that won't rest players, you really want to look at those teams in that 5, 6 through to 9 range, because you.
So in the Western Conference, then, well, in West, you've got Lakers, Dallas, interesting there right now. What's going on? Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs. In the Eastern Conference, in those spots, you've got the Bucks, the Pacers, the Pistons, the Hawks, the Heat. That is just a fucking diabolical situation. The Chicago Bulls. And the big thing is this. I am still of the opinion that the Philadelphia 76ers put on a run. I am 100% convinced of it. They were atrocious to start the season. They're still 14-20. They lost their last one. But this is a team that I think could be highly competent and put together a run. They're only 3 games outside the 10. If they go on a little mini heat streak of winning like 6 or 8 games in a row, they're like from 6th place, there's only 5 games that separate them and the Pacers right now. And the Pacers are only 1 game back from the Bucks. That's how close that Eastern Conference is. It's anything can happen.
Yeah, that's right. And they're the teams that will be less likely to rest. So if you're like, I wouldn't worry about the Knicks. They'll be a top 4 seed. So Boston, they'll rest players. Cleveland will rest players. The Bucks could get to a position where they rest players depending on what Orlando do. Thunder will. The West is a little more complicated.
Well, here's a great one here from Cogger. Devin Carter of Sacramento fallout is appealing to him. That guy, he does. And so does Keon Ellis. So if they do pull the hinges off that really quickly, can you imagine the minutes for Trey Lyles, Keon Ellis, and Kevin Huerter all of a sudden?
Yeah, and that could happen. I mean, I think they're outside. They're 11th at the moment.
They are.
It's very close there, down towards the bottom. But, if they get to a position where that does happen, then, players like Devin Carter would – and, Keon Ellis would actually absolutely get a bump.
And the big one here as well is Phoenix. Let's not forget discount Phoenix here, because the Kings have actually won their last 5 games, which is something that was not happening. They'd lost 6 in a row onto the Pistons. That was their coach was fired. It was a big come to Jesus moment, let's call it. So they've won their last 5 in a row. If they'd maybe won 2 of their last 5, but they were looking a little bit better, like they'd won ever, Malik Monk came out and told the people of, the fans of Sacramento, that will be better. Had they lost even 2 more of these games, they would be tied with a very depleted this year Phoenix Suns. Phoenix has a lot of interesting pieces as well. We're talking like a Kogi season, Plumlee season, Ryan Dunn. Just let the young guy get out there and play a whole bunch of minutes kind of guy. Iguodala is going to get out there. Like, these are teams that very, very easily could just, as you said, man, go sideways and just throw everything in and just rest those stars. Kind of like what the Mavericks did for the final 10 or 12 games 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, to get that Derek Lively pick.
Yeah, it's and obviously we've got a lot of teams in the if we're calling it capture the flag, which I think is a pretty cool.
I love that one. Yeah,
to put on it. Yes, there's going to be teams because he looks good and there'll be teams that will be. It's not as significant as Wemby was 2 years ago, but this draft class coming up is a good one. So teams will be battling for those first, second, third picks in the draft next year.
Oh, 100%. And there's a lot of teams that don't own their own pick. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll get into that later in the season. Be like when it goes to the All-Star break, I think we'll come out of it the other side of like what happens next. Like what are these teams that we can really target? Because I think that's where we can really get a little bit of juice out of that one. First topic of the night was Young Guns. Should I do a screen share? Should I do this up? Because I've got some things from Mally and I the other night we were talking about in the Must Add show. If you want to take a listen to that one, jump onto the Inside page, have a look. We did 40 Must Add players or watch players, and we did like the rookie rankings to see who's got a bit of a run right now. So I thought it might be fun because people ask like, oh, what rookies? We were just talking about the rookie class, and that was a perfect segue. Like what rookies have been the most impactful for the team? Who has been good? And so we're talking about the last 3 weeks when we get to our ADP battles very, very soon. But I just thought it'd be really fun to look at the rookies for the past 3 weeks because it's been really interesting. I mean, only one of them in 9 category leagues has cracked the top 100. Here's the pop quiz. Anybody in chat right now, I would love to see if anyone can name in 9 category leagues, according to Basketball Monster, who is the only rookie to have cracked the top 100 in category leagues. Just a random. Kingy, can you throw before you type it in? Could you throw out some suggestions?
Top of my head.
He's
Yves Messi was the one that came to my mind.
Yeah, there he is. You're right, and he is, and he's the 99th player in fantasy 9 category league. So he just gets in that one. Look, this is the thing. Jalen Wells has been great. These are the guys we're talking about. Stephon Castle. These are the guys that we're talking about in this list. So Yves Messi has been 99th. Alex Sarr has been 112th in the past 3 weeks. Then we've got Ryan Dunn, Kelly Ware at 155, Bub Carrington, Jalen Wells at 161, Tristan Da Silva 167, Zach Edey at 210. AJ Mitchell in 9 games. He's been doing a 223 clip with Ricochet being on 241. The interesting thing there is if we then take another look in the last 2 weeks, the bump in the last 2 weeks, and Missy bumps down to the 78th player. 87th for Dunn. Bub Carrington makes it into the list at 99, and his teammate Alex Sarr bumps up to 124. The next guy there is 175, and that is for Tristan Da Silva. Ricochet gets a bigger bump into 188, and even Khalil Ware then in 2 weeks was 191 with not getting minutes. But in the last week, jumping up with 3 games, Bub Carrington at 52, Ryan Dunn at 63, Messi at 71, and Khalil Ware, the biggest leaper here, has come into 88 with everything going on Miami. So there's a lot of movement happening, and Stephen Castle's dropped back to 213. There's a lot of rookie movement around that we could be paying our attention to now to see where these are going towards the silly season.
Yeah, there is. And because I think this, in a way, this sort of highlights how weak this class was. And because it's not taking much for them to shuffle around because they're down in that 90, 100, 110 range.
It's true.
It's a lot easier to go from the 150th ranked player to the 80th ranked player than it is to go from like 50 even to 30. So and that's all part of that graph and everything with fantasy value. But I think we're going to get some interesting fantasy rookies down the stretch. I don't know if any of them are game changers or league winners or anything like that, but I think we'll certainly get some names that will have 1 to 2 weeks of pretty solid value in February maybe, but probably more like March.
Are there anyone including guys like Devin Carter in Sacramento that old mate mentioned? He's been the 240. He's been the 241st one. Guys like Kyle Flapowski getting minutes. Ricochet, second, third year guys like Sensabar. Are there any of these young guys coming up outside just rookies that you've kind of got your eyes on and you've been really impressed by their progress so far this year?
In terms of rookies, not really. No one's really blown me away. I like what I've seen from Khalil Ware in the last 2 weeks. The role is not there at this point, but he has, I think, finally proven himself. I'd love to see, and it might happen in very, very small blocks, but I'd love to see a bit more of Reed Shepherd. He just hasn't had a role because Houston is so good. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see Johnny Furphy just as an Aussie. It'd be cool to see him out on the floor. But again, Pacers are going to be in that mix. So I don't think they're going to be running with him too much. Devin Carter, we talked about him. Filipowski's an interesting one, I think, because we've already seen glimpses from him. Reece Shea, I think, will be tough because Atlanta will also be in that Pacers bucket of teams that are battling for sort of 6 through 10.
Yeah, and he's looked really good when Jalen Johnson's been out. Like, he's taken on that added role really well, and he's like, okay, I'll get out there and I'll do it. And, I've been really impressed by Reece Shea, especially with Jalen Johnson out of the lineups. He's flashed a little bit. And then Ryan Dunn is probably just the only other one because obviously the Suns shuffled things up and he's now starting. And I thought he was okay today. So I think I talked about him as a potential add for this week because they have 4 more games and just see what he can give us for this week and then reevaluate. I would have loved Royce O'Neal this week as a streamer option hard. Like, and they came out and did really, really well. I was really happy to see Tyus blow up today. I took in, Ryan Dunn getting the start, I thought was great. Grayson Allen with that 14 minutes, I was a little bit surprised by. The big thing there, the big news in that one was Bradley Beal coming off the bench today. Still getting Bradley Beal things, still eating 25, 3, 5, 1 and 1. That was great. But he was like, I was surprised by that. But it looked good. It looked good. Dunn looked great. He showed that prowess again as a defender on ball, but that doesn't translate. We go, wait a second, G, we're talking fantasy. Well, this is the guy who I don't think always showed the same fantasy value that he's worth as actual value on a team because he didn't get any steals, he didn't get any blocks, but he was still really good for them on defense. But it doesn't translate to fantasy category numbers, so he kind of goes a little bit under the radar in that one. We've got ADP battles that we want to get to. But I did say to you earlier today, I'd give it a shout. I know that you've seen these. I put them in the videos for us to look. At Insight, we've just released, and talking of Insight, you've got one there as well. They love us. They love this show for FBI as well. Our standard squeeze, they've got some of their apparel. You can use promo code IFS15. We've never done a promo code on any of our own merch before, but I've actually just done one. I'll put it in chat across all of it. I've just done our first ever bunch of NBA fantasy gear. So there's a promo code called Crossover10. I just put it in chat. You can use to get this for the next 24 hours for anyone watching us live tonight. We've just done a bunch of NBA fantasy basketball shirts, include the I Heart Fantasy Hoops. All the cool kids are doing it, and only your loved ones just don't understand. They're a whole lot of fun. They're really fun shirts. They're good. I know that you've seen one. You want to pick one up. The promo code I've literally only created for this show for our live watchers. I'll probably put it in chat maybe when it hits video. But if you are out there as well, you can click on the store. The link is in your chat right now. And you can get, it does ships internationally, 90. There's a couple of favorites there. Yeah, to Canada. I'm pretty sure it does. It's all on them. Just go to the web. Just you tell me, Knight. You go on there and try and order one from Canada now and tell me if it works live. But use promo code Crossover10 thanks to FBI Basketball, International, and Insight Fantasy Sports. You get 10% off your fantasy basketball shirts only. The rest of it's not, but these are for the fantasy gear. So enjoy them. Wear them. They're great. They're fun.
They are. Yes, I will be purchasing one of those. I don't have my standard squeeze shirt on tonight. I've got my Millhouse shirt on instead.
I saw the Millhouse. I thought it was Skeletor because of the purple and the yellow initially, and I had to have a good look at where you moved.
No, it's Millhouse. But yes, I will be getting one, possibly two of those shirts.
You want? Sorry, do I won't put them up. Go and look at the website. I'm not going to put them on the bloody. I'll put the store on the screen. Just go and enjoy the bloody shirts. They're on there. And they're in the bio, so that one there. ADP battles. I say that because it's right under the ADP battles. We've got these ones. You've got two. I've got one of these ADP battles. They are fun, and they are all players that I like. And this is going to be a really tough one. Kingy, take us through your first ADP battle for the show.
Who is it? Okay, that's who it is. Yes, so Mark Williams, we talked about him before. So Mark Williams and Jarrett Allen are the two that I've picked. Now, we do look at the last 3 weeks. So over the last 3 weeks, Jarrett Allen is the 41st ranked player and Mark Williams is the 42nd ranked player. So very close. Their stats are eerily similar.
Yeah, 14 basically 14 versus 15 points, 9.4 versus 9.3 rebounds, 1.5. I'll go Allen first, then Williams. 1.5 assists to 2.1, 1 steal basically each, 1 block. Allen's at 699, 632 for Williams, 706 free throw for Allen, 826 for Mark Williams, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very close. Williams is doing it in fewer minutes, slightly, but again, not a massive difference there.
25 versus 27, basically.
Yeah, basically. I just thought these two were a really good example because although they are very similar in terms of what they produce, the narrative for each player is completely different. Mark Williams is coming off the back injury last year, the foot injury to start the year, the ramp up, the fact that the Hornets are terrible, what happens for him in the next month, 2 month, 3 month. Whereas Jarrett Allen is about as consistent a center as you will find. He plays the same amount of minutes. He does what he does. He has the occasional blow up where he'll score 25 points or something. But as long as Mobley is there, Jarrett Allen just cruises along at top 50 value. So that's why I just thought it was an interesting one because they're very similar. They do the same things, but you could make a case for either. Do you want to pick first?
No, because I hate you. And when you ask, they send me the ADP battles, and then you send me ones that like hurt my heart a little bit. I'm just like, stop being in my head with guys that I like. I love Jarrett Allen. I think he is one of my favorite NBA players. I like and it's not even he has a sexy game. And it's not even like, oh my God, this guy's a fantasy god. He's just an affable, like Jarrett Allen is probably the most affable NBA player that I know. Him and Miles Turner with his love of Lego. I think the bromance between him and Mobley has been great. I think the team has looked great. Kenny Atkinson being back with this guy. And I don't think we can underestimate when you're returned with a coach that has tutored you and who actually didn't want you to go away from the team. Like there was a choice. They had to make Claxton or Allen for the trade. And there was a whole thing that Kenny Atkinson didn't want Jarrett Allen to go at the time for basically peanuts. And so seeing him reunite and playing with that, I'm going to give it to Jarrett Allen. Also based on there's one thing. You've said he's about as most consistent fantasy player as you can find. And the big question me with here when I look at Mark Williams is his consistency and his health and his availability and his team, the Charlotte Hornets. So I love his game, and being an owner of Mark Williams in more leagues than Jarrett Allen this year, I only want good things for Williams. So that's where my heart is torn. But I'm going to give it to Allen because consistency is actually sexy and key.
Yeah, and I think that's really fair. I'm going to go Mark Williams just to be different, but also just because I go for upside. And if I'm relating this directly to the teams that I have Mark Williams on, I'm so stacked at center that I couldn't care less if Mark Williams gets injured because I have Walker Kessler, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Isaiah Hartenstein. So losing Mark Williams would not bother me at all. So that's in my situation. So I just like the upside. I think Williams has looked really good. Taking a bit of a chance, I'd go Williams just over Jarrett Allen.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that I would, for upside, that's absolutely the player that I'm going. I think it's just there's more for him to do in Charlotte than there is for Allen to do in Cleveland. But again, because of the consistency that I know I can get long term with Cleveland being the team, because I don't think that they rest. I reckon they might rest guys the last week or two of the season, and hopefully, if your commission has been smart and set your league to have finished up by then, it won't impact you as much. But we can only hope and pray. Your next one, when you see the image for these two guys looking side by side, and they both wear headbands sometimes, it is a really fun one. We're talking Austin Reeves versus Tyler Hero, the Great White Hypes.
Yeah. Anyone that watches my show knows exactly who I'm going to go with in this one. But they are close. So let me just bring them up. I don't remember where they are in the rankings.
They are 41, 42, something. No, 60. There's something. I just had them up here.
I know they're right next to each other.
Yes. 47. It was in the 40s. Yeah, 47 and 48. Tyler Hero is 47. Yes. Reeves is at 48.
Yep. And again, fairly similar roles. Austin Reeves, obviously, with D'Angelo Russell not there, his assist numbers have gone up, which we love to see that. And Tyler Hero, look, as much as I badmouth him and say that I just don't find him a very likable guy, he's been awesome. I mean, he's carrying the Heat at the moment. They have no one else. Terry Rozier, I might as well be out there playing shooting guard instead of Terry Rozier. So Hero has been really good. So I am going to sort of judge this fairly. I'm not just going to say that I'll go with Austin Reeves, but I am going to go with Austin Reeves, mainly because of what we've seen in the last week. I just think that Austin Reeves is really asserting himself in that Lakers lineup now. He's handling the ball a lot more. He looked confident. This is sort of what we thought he'd do last year, and he just didn't do it.
He's a trade target for me. I'd be trying to get him in a league, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, I don't know where he was going in drafts. I feel like it was maybe in the 90s or 80s, something like that. But I feel like there's still a bit of room for him to grow, where I think Tyler Hero, this is probably as good as it gets, because unless the Heat decide to tear it down, which I don't think is in their DNA either, they're going to try and bring in players to make themselves competitive. And I think whoever comes in, they're going to have to get some scoring, and that's going to impact Tyler Hero. So I'm just going to go Austin Reeves just because I do think that Hero may have topped out for this season already.
So Tyler Hero's ADP, and this is how funny this was. I actually did a bit of, you said you didn't know their ADPs. That's funny because I did some research on this before the season. I decided to look at their ADPs to see, I wonder where these guys were going, because I think Tyler Hero is one of the often slept on fantasy guys outside the top 50. So in that bracket, after the top 50 goes off the board, we're in our 5th and 6th round, and people are starting to pick up certain things. Like, I need to get the most points off the board. He's just a kind of an option that flies under the radar. Most of the love in Miami goes to Jimmy Butler. Love Miami, Butler, lol. And Bam Adebayo. He's really the third Heatle that we can look at there. And funnily enough, his ADP this year was above Austin Reeves as well, deservedly so in a team that needs him to be the third star. So Hero was overall 77. He was 74 on, let me go through it. It's 74 on Yahoo, and then on ESPN. I'm just using the main two here, not Fantrax leagues, according to Fantasy Pros. He was the 77th, 74 then 81 on ESPN, so an average draft position of 77.5. Funnily enough, Austin Reeves was just behind him with 86 on Yahoo. His average was bumped up to 75 on ESPN, so an average overall 80. The biggest lull there was D'Angelo Russell was actually at 71.55 for an average ADP of 63, the guy who got out of the team. So for me, that return is a lot. So yeah, Reeves low-key, double since D'Lo trade. Like, yeah, very sexy. And his owners know it as well. And so you won't be able to get him in a trade. He was a guy you could have traded for probably much lower earlier in the season. Mark Williams, health rest of season. Yeah, I want to keep Ihart and Zubac for, this is interesting. I want to keep and trade Ihart, maybe Zubac for a big fish, but I don't know about his health. Yeah, look, that's the concern. If you're giving away Ihart and Zubac for Mark Williams, I wouldn't be making that trade in the first place because I think it's too much. Because you've already got Zubac and you've already got Hart. You've already got rebounds up your butthole and assists coming out there the wazoo. And what does Zubac do they get? Six blocks? What the fuck? When does Avicii Zubac start blocking 6 shots per game?
Yeah, he doesn't. Except today. But
that's right. In the week that I happened to come up against him in a league. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just asking for a friend. So you're taking Reeves.
Yeah, I'll take Reeves. Yeah.
I'm going to take Hero because I think no matter what happens, Miami doesn't have it in their DNA of heat culture to tank. I reckon they play through. And I think that at the end of the day, we just see this completely stupid version of Tyler Super Saiyan Hero at the end of it, who I think is going to put up some ridiculous numbers. And I wouldn't put it past him. Yes, Jonas Posada, you feel my pain. You could be thinking about, oh, you know what? Oh, it's okay. I've got another rebounder. I don't expect Zubac. I've got Anthony Davis in my team. And then he goes out and blocks 6 shots. That's stupid. And I know he was traded for Pickney. I'm down 8 blocks to 2 after the first day because some nugget decided to trade him away. It's a personal rant. It might get political. I don't want to be that guy. But that was a massive stat line for Zoo today. 6 block shots was unheard of. But look, I would be keeping, if that's the trade that you want to be making, Alex, to be honest, I would not be trading those 2 guys away from Mark Williams. I think Zubac and Hart are definitely like Hartenstein, maybe Zoo for a big fish. Look, Hartenstein would be the guy I'd trade more so because I think his value does take a hit when Chet holds back, but I don't think you'd get Mark Williams back for Hartenstein. Surely not. If you can make that trade, you do. Would you upgrade? You'd do that though, wouldn't you?
Upgrade Hartenstein to Mark Williams?
Yeah.
No.
I'm
probably stupidly high on Hartenstein, much to my detriment, I'm sure.
I'm high on Hartenstein, but I think we keep him. I think we keep Hartenstein.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Hartenstein is probably top 50 rest of the way, top 60 maybe. Mark Williams is, I think he has higher upside if we're just looking purely per game value. But the first part of the question there,
you have Mark Williams. Wait a second. Wait a second, Alex. Is your name is your real name Adam King? And is this what you're typing when you're typing, Adam, to ask advice? Because this sounds like your kind of team.
I like that team.
You love that team. Mark,
Okay, so you're sort of saying, do we trust Mark Williams? Because if we do, you can move off one of those other guys to get.
I'd be moving Mark Williams. I'd be selling fucking highs. I'd be selling high. I'd be selling high on Mark Williams and keeping Zubac, Hartenstein. Chet, you hopefully have an IR, so you don't even have to worry about him till later on, because you're not going to be able to move him unless, like, for a piece that you want. Triple J, just keep him. Like he's Mark Williams. This is just my brain working at the speed. Mark Williams is the piece you move and you sell high, right?
I think so. Yeah. As much as I like him, he is the riskiest. I mean, Chet is out at the moment, but of the players that are playing, Williams, Zubac, Hartenstein, Triple J, Williams is the riskiest by a significant amount, I think.
Yeah, by an absolute field day. So for me, it has to be him that you move off, and especially when he's playing high and the minutes are back, and he's looking really good out there. And I hate to say, and I hate to say it this way, but you just want to have a game where he pops off. Like, you know what I mean? Like he absolutely goes through the ringer. Like he has like a 22-point day. Like if he gets a double-double based on a 20-point game, 10 points and a couple of blocks and a couple of assists on really good percentages. And his free throw percentage has been up as well. What was his last game? It was yesterday, I'm pretty sure he played, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was yesterday.
Yeah,
it wasn't that great
yesterday, but he was still decent, and he hit his free throws, I think.
He hits his free throws. Yeah, he's at 824 in the season. It was versus the Cavs. You could use that as a silly look. It was against the Cavs. It was still almost a double-double in 28 minutes, 11 and 9, 4 from 7. The field goal percentage was there. The only one block. Look, hold him until he gets like a 20-point game or a 16-point game, double-digit rebounds and a couple blocks. And if it's this week, then that's when I'm just hitting pumps straight away on trading out Mark Williams to get like an incredible piece and sell it high.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's there we go. It's been on my mind for weeks, and you meant much. Oh yeah, it shouldn't be. Yeah, good job. Mark Williams doesn't block as many, but this is the thing. He doesn't, Gibbo. You're 100% right, but he does when he does it in spades. So that's where once he gets two, the illusion of blocks can be there for those big guys who are coming back as well. Big question here from Micah Collins. How important is looking at the upcoming schedule for trades in head-to-head Nightcat to gain some extra games for your week? Do you want to handle this one first, then I come over, Kingy? And we've got another one from Lone as well. We'll come back to you, Lone, as well.
Yeah, look, it's always something to keep an eye on, but it's not as simple as just looking at a schedule, because you also need to look at the volume of games on the days that your players are active. Because if they're active on a day when there's 11 games, you might not play them. They might not be in your best 8 or 7 or however many active roster spots. So just because a player has 4 games in a week doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to play them 4 games. And then you also have to look at the player and the team, and if it's a back-to-back, is there a chance that they're resting or that they will get the night off? So I think it is something to consider, but I wouldn't sort of make that the be-all and end-all when deciding on a trade. I would factor in other things as well.
The only thing that I can suggest that you look at, Micah, is here, #basketball has a really great resource. I know Kingy uses it. I use it. Every analyst in the world uses it. We think this is like easily one of the best. We're up week 12 right now here in Yahoo. Week 11. Let's go by ESPN. The reality of the fact of right here, we've got in ESPN leagues, and you can see the shift there as well with the weeks based on the cut. But look, most players play on Yahoo. It's week 11. You look at the teams maybe going ahead to when your finals are. The only advice schedule-wise I can say is where in your playoffs and who has the most games away the rest of the season. So you can look at this for your strength of schedule, taking apart that the Bulls have 2 games in week 18. The Mavs in week 20, which is definitely playoff time, have 2. And then I think there's only 1 or 2 more teams. That's just the one. It is the New Orleans Pelicans. But they have a pretty friendly schedule around that if you can buoy anyone. Really heavily friendly schedules is the Utah Jazz. They have a very fantasy-friendly schedule moving ahead. But again, really, really risky as well. The Trailblazers, pretty fantasy-friendly as well. The Pacers, for me, would probably be the number 1 team that I'm looking at, or Pistons guys as well with the 4s, where I can get a lot of volume. Charlotte Hornets have a lot of 4-game weeks as well. So that's probably the best advice that I can give if you are wanting to look at that. I guess, Kingy, that's the best way to do it, is to have a look at that and move on from there.
Yeah, it is. That's right. Use that one. But as I said, always remember to have a look at not only how many games they play, but how many other teams play on those specific days. Because
quality games.
4 games. Yeah, quality games. If there's only 4 games, sure, they're going to play, unless they're injured or resting. But if there's 2 of the days of the 4, there's 10 and 12 games for whatever reason, then maybe not, because there's a chance that, as I said, they might not be in your best 8 players or however big your active roster spot is.
#basketball, Micah has that there. And they also have the advanced schedule grid. So you can actually look at how many teams are playing on what days, how many teams are playing on what days. It's really good as well, but love that. Back to you. I know Lone had a question. I hope you're still listening, Lone. Sorry to take our time. We've just got well down the list. Is DeMar and Kobe White for Reeves a good deal? No, off the top of my head, because I do think DeMar does come back to being a top 50 player, and I think Reeves is a top 50 player. So what you're doing is you're adding in Kobe White to that trade, whereas I've seen trades that would be equivalent to a DeMar DeRozan for Austin Reeves swap, Kingy. And I think especially today with DeMar having a 30-piece without Fox or whatever being there, it just people get the illusion that, he's back, I think, very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit too much. I think for me, Reeves is probably the best player there. But yes, I think DeMar for Reeves, for me, would be fair.
Fine.
I think you'd be getting the best of that deal, but I think it's a fair deal. Or if you wanted to do DeMar and a top 100 guy or something, top 110 guy. If you think you need to sweeten the deal a bit to get Reeves, because whoever has Reeves on their roster at the moment is thinking he's this double machine now. He's going to get, so they're probably looking for quite a lot. So you are almost buying at the highest possible price at the moment for Austin Reeves.
Yeah, you almost want to see him just crash back to earth slightly and be like, look, now I can trade for him happily, because this is peak Austin Reeves time. This is where he's like the new big shiny piece of the puzzle in every team. In fact, I'm playing against Austin Reeves this week, and I know the owner, and I did plan on sending a trade, but I actually had to stay my own hand as well. So I'm with you, man. This is the time we do that. Better rest of season active stash, Scoot or Homie Harkis Jr.? Oh, a cat. Oh, if that cat is turnovers that's out, surely it could be Scoot.
It's Scoot for me.
Yeah, it's Scoot for me too. I think that's it one. Middleton or Asar rest of season? Middleton. Oh, I hate saying that. I feel dirty saying it out loud. Let me reconsider. No. Well, look, I have to say this. It's about being a banana. And I know this sounds really weird, but my thing with some of these guys, when we look at rest of season, we have to look at bananas. And in a certain amount of teams, especially like the Milwaukee Bucks, you have two big bananas. You've got Giannis and Dame. Brolo hasn't been that great this year, but Middleton really is the missing piece of that puzzle. Absolute pleasure, Nita. For me, it's Middleton as the part of that puzzle. Razor, Asar, I love, and I think he did really well in that starting role. But I think we're also looking at a game, that recency bias, where he started after not starting and went perfect from the field with the crazy defensive stats. I think Asar could do it. I think he might be an upside surprise packet for all of us. But I think Middleton has to be better for the Bucks to be better, and therefore I think that it's possible that he may be the more consistent player. But I like Asar more.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. Somehow I think Middleton is safer. That feels weird to say. But I think Asar has obviously had some health issues. He was out today. He's still not pushing back into starters minutes. He has started, but he's not playing starters minutes. He might get there, but as you said, Middleton has looked pretty good. He didn't play today, but it was back to back. That was all.
And when Dame and Giannis sat out, which they will again, by the way, he was the absolute go-to player for Milwaukee, like ridiculously so.
Yeah. So yes, I think it is probably Middleton, and it pains me to say it, but I think it is.
Yeah, it's painful. It's almost like one, if you've got these guys you have to look at, you don't want to, because it's gonna keep you up at night, that one. I just want to move on from DeMar, because I also have Fox right now. I also do it, Lone. If you can get Reeves for DeMar and put in like another player. Lone, if you could just type in your players, absolute pleasure, Razor, and cheers needed to you too as well. Lone, do it in chat, man. Put in the other guys on your list in your team, and King and I are happy to tell you, man, who you should get onto as well. Do that one. My other guy that I have, I've got an ADP battle for you, Kingy, and it's someone who was just mentioned and a team that's been mentioned, and these guys have been playing very well of late as well. It is Darius Garland versus someone who's not playing well, De'Aaron Fox. This is an interesting one for me. I was very curious to see where these guys have been in the past 3 weeks, because De'Aaron Fox was really well down on a lot of people's radars in the last 3 weeks before the outages. He had played the 8 games. He was the 16th ranked player. Darius Garland still continues to overwhelmingly be good and the best Cleveland Cavalier. And that might sound funny to say, but he has been the best Cavalier in the last 3 weeks. He has been the 13th ranked player. In fact, the second best Cavalier has been Evan Mobley at 24 and Donovan Mitchell at 27. So these guys are incredible team. Garland's flying, and very close statistics between him and Fox. Apart from Fox obviously getting the big bump in points and higher in rebounds. Same amount of steals, 1.6. Assists go to Garland at 7 compared to 6. The turnovers, 1.9 only for Garland. That's where his values come down from. They are well down on last year. 2.6 for Garland, but the field goal percentage for Garland being at 530 has been incredible at 833 from the line. And Fox has been shooting better. He's actually been a better free throw shooter than Darius Garland. 836 the last 3 weeks, 497 from the field. Who is it going to be for you? Who do you like more rest of season, Garland or Fox? Because I have feelings about this one.
Yeah, it's hard. My gut. So when I first, because I hadn't seen those your matchup, so that was the first time I'd seen it. My gut says Fox.
This is the gut thing. So
my initial reaction is Fox, and then I was just looking at numbers and things like that. I think I still go Fox slightly. Part of that is because I think Cleveland are just going to be number 1 seed, and there's a chance that Garland is rested or something like in that last 2 weeks. And I think the Kings are going to be in that range of, like we said, that 7 to 10 range. They've looked a lot better as a team since whether it was the right decision or not, since they got rid of the coach. And yeah, I think Fox just has a little bit more defensive upside, points upside. So it's very close. Garland is probably a little bit safer. Maybe safer, not in terms of games played later in the season, but just game to game. I think he's a little bit safer, but I think I'll go Fox slightly.
Ooh, you know what? This is the first one we're going to agree with tonight. And I am a massive fan of Darius Garland. You know that I loved him before the season as one of my sleeper. You're not going to be able to get him he's not going to be some bargain basement prospect like he fell out last year. But if you can get him just outside of the 50th position, you're looking at a good return. Anywhere between 50, if he falls to anywhere in the 60s, you're laughing, I thought. But for me, that's who I would. I love the guy to death. But I think Fox rest of the season, especially if he gets traded for some reason to Miami, and it becomes him, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo, I just think there is all the leeway in the world for him to be just elevate his game to a level that we've seen him reach previously and his highest heights of fantasy in Sacramento. Whereas I think Garland is capped, and the minutes are 9 again. And when it comes back to on this list, when we look at this over the last 3 weeks, Garland is doing this in 30 minutes a night. So of these players, he's been playing 29.2, Mobley's at 29.9, and Donovan Mitchell's at 29. So they're not capping 30 minutes a night.
No.
De'Aaron Fox is at 37 minutes when he was playing. So he had to take an extra 7 minutes to be 3 spots behind, but the up is there. On that, could you imagine Garland's per 36? It would be nuts right now. Yeah. The 3-pointers have been up as well, and that's the big thing for Darius Garland as well. The 3.33s a game has been great. He's looking smooth. I want the Cavs to win the championship. I want them to go all in. I love that. But for me, I think it's Foxy. Loans here as well. I have Bub Carrington, Keon Johnson, Dinwiddie, Grayson, DeMar, Giddey, Jonas Valanciunas, Goga, Wells, Kobe, Duncan, Robinson, Maxey, SGA, J-Dub, and Keontae, and Fox on my AL spots. Punting field goal. I can tell you punting field goal percentage. I would be throwing in. I'd be throwing in someone like Grayson Allen this week, but he's a bench rider. Jalen. Would you throw in Jalen Wells? Because he's had some points games that might look saucy.
With DeMar, you mean?
If he's adding someone with DeMar, if you send that trade, I would.
I would ideally, yes, someone like a Wells, maybe Bub Carrington, Grayson Allen. They'd be the names I'd like. I know Bub. I know we chub for Bub, but they'd probably be the guys. Jalen Wells or Grayson Allen would be the two I would try to do, but I doubt or Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, I think, might be the one. I think Duncan Robinson with the state of flux in Miami might be it. Look, loan, hit it right now. Send the trade over. go demand DeRozan after today's game straight away with Reeves. If you get declined straight away, be like, send back with Duncan Robinson, because you can always get what Duncan Robinson does. And I know that you're streaming guys like Keon Johnson sometimes, and I know you're going to be streaming guys like Jalen Wells on your team. I'd be sending that trade right now, being like, just send this out there. And if you get declined, do you want to hear a cheeky strategy that I've done before, Kingy, and it's worked? I'll drop this out there. Here's one. Send that trade and be like, look, send it out there. Just wherever you're going for Reese. If you're a Lakers fan, if you're a Reese fan, whatever, be like, look, I think it's worth the 1-for-1. Tell them. But if it takes more, send a follow-up trade right behind it. I'm throwing in Duncan Robb as well. Or you can switch him for Wells or Johnson. Send that message. Send both trades out. Overshoot the first trade you send as a trade tactic. Say that, look, you might want more, because that's what you're ultimately prepared to. That's your bottom line. Give your bottom line up straight away, loan, and I think you might have a chance. And please tweet at me, at me, and let me know how you go, because I think that's worth a shot, Kingy.
Yeah, I think so. If you, like I said, if you could get one of those, Keon Johnson, Grayson Allen, Duncan Robinson, Jalen Wells, I think as far I might do Keontae George. If you really want Austin Reeves, I'd consider throwing him in, and that's only based on what your build is like. And it's a situation like where I said with Mark Williams in those other leagues, if he gets injured, I don't really care, because I'm so good in other categories. Keontae is really just points and some assists, and you've got guys that are doing that for you. So I would first, 1-for-1, throw in one of those top 100, 120 guys. And then if you really want Austin Reeves, maybe throw in Keontae George.
Yeah, I'd say you have to figure out something like that at this point in time. Like, truly, like you really have to. Yeah, there's got to be something you do there, but do it. There's a really thing. Here we go. Okay, I'll try your offers ASAP. Thanks a lot. Absolutely, loan, honestly. At NBA G Wiz, right there on, and this, by the way, is at Adam King 91. If you could put a message out there to us on Twitter, post on Twitter or on Blue Sky, for both of us, I would love to see if you get this trade done, man. I'd love to see you add Austin Reeves into your lineups. I think that's a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much. I think we could wrap it up here, Kingy. We've had a good run. Been an hour and 12.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go and watch some cricket, and maybe I'll have another beer. I had one. Maybe I should have a second one now.
I'm gonna have another glass of wine. I forgot. I brought the bottle with me to the table.
I'm working from home tomorrow, so there's no I have to get up and do a show, but I don't have to get up super early. So I think
I might get up. I might return the favor if you want Kingy to say thank you, and I'd jump on that as well. I'd jump. Oh, Carmody's here. G'day, Matty Carmody. How are you, son? Carmody, did you see the tee? No, he hasn't bought a T-shirt yet. I thought the first person once we put a T-shirt on was going to be this guy, but I think Shining is going to beat him to it. Look, this is nice, Alex. Give us more crossovers. We will. Kingy, look, the reason we haven't been doing this as much is because Kingy's busy on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm busy Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm about to be a dad again next week. So we've been really busy. So the second that we both had it in our schedules to be free, the first thing that Kingy and I said was, let's do a crossover. And now we're here. So thank you very much. Man, pull it off. Would love it. Carmody, give us more crossovers. Again, the latest collection of NBA fantasy wear. It's dope. Like, it's really fun. Like, the tees are a heck of a lot of fun. It's all available right now on the Insight store. That's one of the things that I've been working on, as well as a whole bunch of content to help you win your season. You can use promo code crossover10 for the next 48 hours. I'll put it in the chat. There's this one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the congratulations. Yeah. Baby 2, the sequel, is due next week. You can check out the link. It is in all the chat here, and I'll put down the code again. It's crossover10, and that's just from Kingy and I to say thank you very much for watching. We don't usually do promo codes or anything, so use that. Get 10% off the shirts. And what's his name? Knight. I know that it's available in Canada. Buy your ass a shirt. Get your merch. You too, Carmody. Kingy, what's coming up for you in the next 48 hours?
More shows. So just
many shows.
Pre-game, post-game shows. What day is it? Tuesday. So Saturday morning, debuting the new show, the Trade Talk show with Michael Waterloo. So that will be this Saturday, and then I'll have Raphael Johnson and Noah Rubin cycling through those guys. Articles, Twitter stuff. I will just quickly, before we jump off. So my show, anyone, and I know, well, most of the people who are watching this show watch my show pretty religiously. Not sure why, but they do. So thank you. But Chad Simpson watches my show a lot as well.
Yep.
And he is a podcaster, analyst kind of guy. And I was on his show, I think, to begin the season. I went on his show. And I'm pretty sure he has a new show coming out at some point this year. He's starting a new show with the Old Man Squad. I don't know if that's been announced, but I'll announce it. So he will be starting a new show on the Old Man Squad. Now, he tweeted out today, and I know a little bit about him. I've chatted with him. So he was basically raised by his grandmother, and she passed away recently. And due to the illness and complications and things, there's costs involved, and with travel and all sorts of things. So he started a GoFundMe page, and he tweeted out about it.
Put it in.
So
can you put it in? Wait a second. Where is it on your Twitter right now? Let's
it's
just
not on my Twitter. No, I can pop it in.
Put it in the chat straight away. 100%. If you can do that, put it out in the chat. If anyone watching, don't even buy a T-shirt. And comparatively, right there. Make sure you check that out.
So it's in there. So he's just started. If you go on, click through to the GoFundMe page. It's just to help with facilitate costs for travel and maintaining her home. So she obviously had her own home and wants that to be maintained. And so he's just, so if you've got $5, $10, anything at all, just jump in there and donate, help Chad out, because he's one of the good guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's I've spoken to him only a couple of times, but again, my grandma was my favorite person in the world. So like these things are a tough time for families. So please get in there and support Chad and support all of the work. I am at NBA Whiz. This is at Adam King. This way. Adam King. This way. Adam King 91 from the ADP Battles Network. We will have some more crossovers coming during the season and a bunch more fun coming your way. Trade Talk, I'm jumping on with you and Dan Bresbris for the trade show live. I know that's a big one on the Old Man Sports Network. Chatting to Dan the other day. He's got a new look that I worked on for as well, so I can't wait to see that rolling out in action. Make sure you jump in and get that merch. Help support Chad. And you know what? Go get your trades. Go get your fun, and we'll catch you soon, guys. Take care, everybody.